Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. Dan Skill here. Let me know if you can hear the audio. I'm not sure that it's actually working, so I might just be talking to myself here. I'm just going to post a comment. So I'm just going to start talking here. So let's see if we can confirm that audio is working, folks. Well, welcome to the show anyway. It's a Sunday, snowy Sunday afternoon here in Burlington, Ontario, and this is my third live stream that I'm running. Today's topic is about the guitar being immune to trends, or whether the guitar is in fact its own trendsetter. So I'm not sure if my audio is working yet. Hopefully, one of the kind viewers will let me know pretty soon. And it looks like we've got our first viewer. So thanks for signing in, folks. And like I said, please let me know if you can hear the audio. Anyway, the guitar. Before we get into the meat of the topic, there, what I'd like to talk about is just how you can support the channel, which uh, you're supporting right now by watching. So thanks for that. The the other ways you can support the channel are basically by liking and subscribing, and of course buying my music um, that is available on oh, there we go. Thanks, Bobby nailed me on the audio there. So okay, so I can keep talking here with a little more confidence. So the uh, supporting the channel basically involves I'm not sponsored. I don't have pedals or anything like that, or a Patreon. If you want to support it, just give me a like. Subscribe. My music's available on Bandcamp and on iTunes. And so my latest track is called Red Smear, and it was put out this week. So if you're interested in that, you can check the audio here on YouTube, and you can actually purchase the music on Bandcamp and iTunes. You can also stream it. So yeah, however you access Densko music is a okay with me, folks. So in terms of latest projects that I'm into, so my cover band is called Retro Phase, and we're in the process of building our set lists. And I'll just shout out a couple of the tunes that we're playing, just some random ones here. We're doing All My Life by Foo Fighters, Big Bang Baby by Stone Temple Pilots, Bob Cajun by the Tragically Hip, Gift Shop by the Beatles, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2, Mr. Jones by Counting Crows, Levitating by Dua Lipa, and so on and so forth. There's a bunch of new tunes and a bunch of old tunes that we're going to be getting to. And like I said, we're just building our set lists right now and getting our Facebook page set up. So if you happen to be on the old Facebook, look up Retrophase, RETROFAZE. Give us a like. We got a little bit of a demo video posted up there right now, showing us getting ready for our big debut that's coming. So that's going extremely well. I got to tell you, with those cover band deals and those projects, it's a lot. it's a lot better, or sorry, a lot easier to approach it now that I've got my pedal boards and my sound gear set up ready. So I'm using the pedal boards that my friend Jamie has built for me, and hopefully I'll get Jamie on here as a guest at some point in the future. Um, all right, so yeah, the cover band's going extremely well. The Hello Companion release is on its way. It is currently being mixed by Justin over at B Town Sound. So, big shout out to Justin and B Town Sound. Uh, one cool thing about B Town Sound is being a local shop. It's good to support your local business and your local music industry. And those folks have been doing it for a while and doing a great job. Justin helped produce local legends here, Walk Off the Earth, who are doing really well worldwide. And yeah, it's great to have our music in the hands of someone that really has a lot of ability and talent in terms of production. So if they sound good, I'm sure we'll sound good too. So looking forward to that. In terms of other big projects out there, yeah, my latest release is out. It's called Red Smear. Another track where I try and do some different things with the turntables and of course the guitars and effects and all that. So yeah, that track's out there, and it seems to be getting a few views on YouTube, which is cool. So yeah, keep an eye out for more original music that I'm working on. I do have another tune that's kind of coming along. Um, there is a brand new old kind of project that I've been working on as well with a couple of colleagues of mine, a couple of buddies, named. So you guys might know of Mark Ansara, who's played drums on a few of my tracks. So him and I are working together on an original project with our fellow musician, a gentleman by the name of Matt, who's a fantastic bass player, plays electric and stand up bass, which is like you know crazy. And he's oh yeah, thanks, Bobby. Bobby's just mentioning in the comments that he's listened to the tune. So it's sort of an original instrumental project, but we're just putting tons of layers in terms of parts and effects and stuff into the music right now, and it's sounding quite fantastic. And we hope to be able to bring it live to audiences, and it'll definitely be um, something that you can see on YouTube. I'm going to be linking to it through my Facebook and through my Instagram pages as we get that project working. So that's sounding great. We just had a rehearsal yesterday, and I gotta say, one thing that I've always avoided was using the whole sort of wet dry rig setup. Like I'm a single amp guy. Like that's the way to go. But yesterday I decided to run a cable out of my Eventide H9 into another amp, and yeah, I don't know if there's any turning back from that now. What Dan and Mick from the Pedal Show say is kind of true. It's like once you see what life is like, with Wicked Stereo Split, um, yeah, it's hard to go back. It's almost like going into HD, and you're going from HD to standard vision again. So, yeah, I really like the sound. I recorded the rehearsal yesterday, and it listened to it, and man, it's the stereo sound with some of those effects with the ping ponging and the reverbs that you get out of the H9 are just huge. So it's sort of a ghetto poor man's wet dry rig that I ran yesterday, but man, was it ever phenomenal. So yeah. So right now we've got let's see here. Looks like Bobby's in the mix. So shout out to Bobby. And Bobby's asking if it was real drums that I used on that tune on Red Smear. And the answer is no, Bobby. I used Mr. Computer drums on that, and I mixed in a bunch of like electronic type drums as well in that. So yeah, hopefully it's a convincing enough sound or set of programming parameters that I put in there that it sounds real enough. I'd much rather prefer working with real drummers, but certain songs and certain types of material, it's just easier to use the loops and kind of dial in what you want, and everything's kind of mixed and ready for you there. Although, yeah, I mean, it's worth it mixing real drums. And Bobby says it sounded awesome. Well, thanks, man. Really appreciate you, Bobby. And for those that don't know Bobby, Bobby's an amazing drummer that has been playing some drums on, well, he's in a bunch of different projects. Bobby's got his own YouTube channel, so you should check that out. I got the opportunity to work with Bobby and produce a track for my brother, the Guitar Hack there, where Bobby's done, I think, 2 tracks now with Hack, and they've turned out amazing. So yeah, like I said, there's really no substitute for real drums, but based on my means and my abilities, the loop drummer thing kind of works out in a lot of cases. So yeah, big shout out to Bobby. Big shout out to B Town Sounds. Big shout out to Guitar Hack. Check out his channel as well. As far as news and updates on this channel, I'll still be doing some live streams and coming up, and I hope to have a couple guests. One of them being, as I mentioned, my buddy Jamie that built my pedal boards, and hopefully another one being some of the producers that I've worked with in terms of my original recordings and the other stuff that's going on. I don't want to reveal too much quite yet. Um, so today's we're gonna get to today's topic, which is guitar being a trendsetter, or does it exist outside of that, or is it kind of both? And I have to give, I guess, a little bit of credit to Casino Guitars for giving me the idea or sparking this idea for this topic based on a video they did, which is guitar is the hardest instrument to play. Um, and so they did a really cool video on that, and I'll probably link to that. Actually, I can't because this is a live stream. Whatever, look it up. It's Casino Guitars. They do some cool videos, and they did one about how guitar is the hardest instrument to play, and that got me thinking about a lot of the dialogue happening on the internet about how guitar and rock, guitar is attached to rock and roll is dead or it's not popular, and like there's all this woe is me, doom and gloom about how you know guitar is fighting for popularity, and it's seeing a surge in popularity, and uh, is it really cool anymore, or that kind of line of discussion. So I'd love to hear your comments, folks. Feel free to chime in on what your take is on it. Um, I'm gonna obviously ramble on here in this live stream about my opinion, but feel free to chime in on the comments while I sip my delicious coffee here. So the question, again, kind of to restate it, is is the guitar a measure of trends? Can you look at the guitar and say, like, rock is dead because guitars, we're not selling more guitars? And I guess we'll start with, just looking a little bit at the current situation and working our way backwards. Where, guitar sales are pretty high right now. They're selling a lot of instruments out there. And along with that, go effects, pedals, and amps. So are there more bands? Are there more people, trying to make original music and make it big? Is that the start of the next wave? Are we putting the hands in the guitar, or are we putting guitars in the hands of the next Kurt Cobain, or John Lennon, Paul McCartney? Is that what's happening right now? And I kind of like to think that you know whatever's cool is whatever's popular is going to have some symbols, some tags in it, like some tools that people are using. And I like to think that guitar is one of them. I see kind of two sides of things where, there's a whole, what's really popular and what's cool is things like electronic dance music and K-pop and stuff like that. And there's very little, if any, guitar to be seen in that, but it's still kind of music. Still kind of, it is music, right? It still has chords, and it still has melody, and it still needs to be created, whether it's on a keyboard or a drum machine or a computer. Like, you still need some way to access that kind of creativity. So regardless of what's popular in this day and age, I think guitar is obviously standing strong, and with the amount of guitars they're selling, and kind of this divide between more electronic and manufactured sounds versus more sort of an organic start from scratch wave, back to I don't know, some kind of post grunge thing going on. I don't know. Like, there's as many kids as I see like in the K-pop and the EDM and the pop and the rap and those kinds of styles. I do see a lot of young kids getting off on Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and Queen and stuff like that, which is really cool, and kind of like a bit of a head scratcher. Uh, Bobby's mentioning here in the comments that music needs to go back to basic instruments, which is obviously more involved, and it's not just not programmed electronic stuff, is what he's saying. And I have to agree. There is some skill in programming and knowing production, but like, that's not the same as songwriting or playing an instrument, right? There's a certain input you get from a human interacting with an instrument, and in turn, capturing that and playing that out. It's like, only there's like Stevie Ray was Stevie Ray because he had his hands, right? And there's been a bazillion imitators, but there's only ever been one Stevie Ray and one Prince, and like all these like unique artists that it's them, it's their individuality, it's their expression, it's the combination of their meat hooks and their heart and their soul and their brain coming through their instruments. So that, I think, is basically irreplaceable, and you might call it, I don't like the term that much, but there's this, you got the big wave of the manufactured K-pop, EDM, ultra pop, trap, hip hop, whatever. You got a big pile of that stuff that's massively popular. But I think the counter wave to that, and I don't like the term, is sort of this bespoke culture, or what you might call a hipster culture, where everything is like handmade, and everything is sort of custom made for you, and everything is sort of one of a kind. And think of like fine leather belts, or like a handmade watch, that kind of thing. That is not mass manufactured. That is more individualistic, and not made for the masses. I see that as being a big counterculture wave to the mass marketed media and manufacturing society that we live in, for the large part. It's Walmart culture versus mom and pop, antique store culture, right? So I think both of those realities exist at the same time, and I think music is, you can sort of see a parallel across it. Um, but yeah, so Bobby's got a really interesting comment here, and which I have to agree as well, that he sees he says, I see young people that are quick at learning, but learning an instrument is not a quick thing. Absolutely, you really got to suck at playing an instrument too. It makes you kind of special and unique, because it's a lot of hard work at first. I can only speak of a guitar. I've stumbled around on drums, and I play bass too, obviously. But man, you just suck for a long time. Yeah, it hurts your fingers and it hurts your brain for a little bit when you're trying to figure out shit, and it's not easy. And so once you get good at it and you get some competency at it, like it feels really good. There's a strong sense of accomplishment, and hopefully along the way you've developed your own sound and your own grip. I call it a grip, you know, your own feel, your own approach to the instrument. You're getting your own individuality out through that, and that's not the same thing as programming a drum loop or just taking samples and looping those, for example, or you know, just pounding out keyboard pads and standard, you know, chord progressions. To be honest, you could, as Bobby said here, and I like this comment here. It's learning an instrument is not just, it's not just pressing a button, and I agree. Um, the you know, the idea that you can, you know, learn an instrument and create, you know, music with it, it you can, I'll argue and be the devil's advocate that you could do the same approach with, you know, learning. You could learn guitar and still make crap music and still make mass manufacture stuff. You know, it's not as easy as pushing a button, but you know, being original is almost, you know, another goal or another thing. Is, you know, with learning an instrument, you gotta get tactical on it. You gotta be able to express yourself on it to a certain extent, and from there be original. So we started in the current days, and let's just shift back a few years with guitar and guitar culture and music culture and how it's evolved, and go back to the, you know, the big boom that was grunge. So for example, a guy like Kurt Cobain, who's gotten, you know, a lot of people playing guitar and really, you know, blew up grunge in a huge way. Let's be honest, he's not the most technically gifted guitar player, but he can write songs. He can write, you know, great solos. I do like his one note solos. Great lyrics, great production all around. You know, he really brought the guitar to a huge mass audience and got a lot of people playing, and not just guitar wise. He brought like a whole sense of fashion, and like he made a whole sort of, you know, demographic, you know, like get lit on fire basically. And that's with, you know, just enough guitar playing ability to make guitar cool again and really change the trajectory. And guitar was, you know, front and center in that revolution, in my opinion. Got a lot of people playing guitar, and you know, how that translates now is these guys are, and girls are parents, and they learned, you know, started playing because of Green Day, Nirvana back in the day. You know, Metallica was putting out albums. GNR, it doesn't matter. It was that 90s thing that was all happening that had a lot of guitar music involved. And those folks are having kids and passing that on. Whereas, you know, with my generation, it was kind of, you know, a little bit of the decade before. I was just coming up when that thing was when grunge was blowing up. So to me, it was refreshing to see guitar come back in and be popular again. You know, bands like Soundgarden, you know, that are all like hairy and like, you know, not pop and like not slick, you know, poofy rock star types. Like that was like a breath of fresh air, you know, for me, because like the music was great, guitar was there, and the songs were just way out there. So looks like we've got three viewers now at the moment. So thanks, folks, for joining in onto the live stream. So you know, you know, you got the current days with, you know, the K-pop and the EDM and guitar selling like crazy through the roof. Um, and hopefully the guitar is getting into the hands of more and more people. Yeah, Bobby's got a good point that grunge was kind of anti-pop, and yeah, in a way it was, for sure. Uh, then, you know, you have bands right now from that grunge era that are still, you know, trucking along and pumping out hits, and putting out records. You know, you've got, you know, after Nirvana, you know, Foo Fighters continued on, Pearl Jam's still doing stuff, GNR is still around in some form. Slash is putting out a solo album these days. Um, you know, I don't really watch TikTok or anything like that, but in some of the popular tunes that I'm learning for my cover band, you know, there's chords. There's like from Maroon 5. You know, there's guitar in there. The Dua Lipa song's got lots of funk guitar in it. You know, you got what's his name, Bruno Mars, just came out with some new project, and that's got a lot of guitar and funk and soul stuff in it. So you know, it's stuff echoing from the past, from the 80s and 90s, sort of becoming popular again. And everyone, of course, talks about Taylor Swift selling, you know, tons and tons of guitars, you know, and you see a lot of young kids and a lot of, and what's refreshing is to see a lot of young females picking up the instrument to add their voice to the jams. So that's really cool. So guitar is always there. It's, you know, my thesis, my whole thing is that guitar is I think of that guitar as the honey badger. It don't care. It doesn't care about trends or nothing. It can be part of a trend, or it can, you know, start a trend, as in the case of Kurt Cobain. You know, going back further, you know, taking a step back further from the guitar, you know, in the grunge days, you know, it was used as a noise machine, as a songwriting tool. You know, it was it was you know, a big source of songs and the sounds that we were getting. Although, you know, the rave scene and EDM were huge, you know, house music was happening at the same time. So the point there is that, you know, we've always had this great divide of more, you know, organic types of music existing and having a certain level of popularity versus more manufactured and produced types of music. So I don't think anything's ever changed, you know, in the past 30, 40, 50 years in that regard. It's still pretty constant in terms of the divide that you see between, you know, people liking real organic music versus, you know, other stuff, which to each their own. I, you know, to be honest, I like it all. There's room for everyone. Um, yeah. So I'd love to hear your comments, folks. So we got a few viewers watching at the moment. So shout out, folks. Thanks for joining on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hate to take away from everyone's football watching, you know, but that's how it goes. Um, so yeah, the guitar, I believe, as an instrument, you know, glomming on a little bit about why, you know, those casino guys were talking about it. It's something that I obviously highly value, extremely, extremely well, extremely highly, and you know, I put a lot of time, money, and effort and energy into it because I'm thinking that, you know, it really is a hard instrument to play, and to get good at it, you got to work at it, and hopefully the result of it is some sort of unique voice. Bobby's mentioning the snow. Yeah, we got, it's our first snow day here, up, well, big snow. Up north it's already been snowing from what I understand, but down here where I live, this is our first one. We got a few centimeters of snow out there. So, but as I was saying, um, you know, I really value hearing, you know, musicians play together, like hearing people play together. That's why I'm really big into jazz and this trio thing that I've got going with Mark and Matt, and you know, we're really playing off each other because you get those non-composed momentary sparks of instrumental magic where it's like we're speaking a musical language together, and you know, it's infectious when you watch, you know, groups do that kind of thing, and that's really really exciting to me. I value that highly. um, that being said, I can't wait to watch this Beatles movie that Peter Jackson has just put out, so that I can see what it's like, so that I can, hey, John's here, and Mr. Ibanez. Hey, John, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're enjoying that guitar. Well, I can't wait to see the Beatles movie because, you know, that's seeing, you know, pop composition, like songwriting at its highest level, and that is, a completely different thing than the improvised jazz environment. So yeah, I like it all. ABBA's putting out new music. That's a guilty pleasure of mine. So like those guys were masters of composition and well thought out, melodies and harmonies and things like that. So there's a lot to be said for the, you know width of and spread of music that is possible out there. um, I play in a group. You guys might have seen if you've been paying attention to my Instagram or Facebook. I was at a cottage a couple weeks ago recording with another band that I've been involved with since my university days, called Plans for Larry. And that project is pretty interesting too. That project lets me sort of really dial in the whole complementary guitar part idea. So I really get to sit back and focus on playing just the right thing for the song. So that's another type of expression that guitar allows me to have. And there's another guitar player in that band. Shout out to Brad, who's an amazing guitar player and dude. And that's a whole other really cool dynamic, is playing, I'm going to play certain types of parts with certain sounds, and Brad's going to do his thing on his parts for the song, and it's all to serve the song. So, do I play flashy? Do I play in the pocket? Do I play off the cuff and ragged for that? It all depends on what the song calls for, and really what the songwriter wants and producer wants. So, it's really nice to be able to do that sort of well thought through composition stuff, where there's a specific target and you can aim for that target, and try and hit that solo or that chord part. And then there's, the improvisational stuff that I get to do with the jazz project, and that's all, just using a guitar and six strings. My own music is kind of a hybrid of both of those things, because it's very composed and thought through. But I also put in spots where I just literally, improvise, and I have no idea what I'm going to play. I just hit record and see what comes out. And if it's cool and it's something that I can't ever do again, it usually goes into the track. Because sometimes you can't reproduce those first take moments, or those moments where you have just this unique sound or finger flub happens, and suddenly you get a really cool sound or tone that you just can't duplicate again, and that's, you got to live with it. So anyway, I hope you guys are liking the snow out there, and let me know how the weather is in your neck of the woods. My dogs are loving it. The one guy has already been out and rolled around in it and chewed a whole bunch, and he's a snow dog. He loves it. So because I play guitar, it's as a I feel that I too am also immune to trends, and because guitar is my tool, I don't really care about what's cool or what other people are doing necessarily. I just I put out stuff regardless. Although you know I do I do absorb from other influences, and like what other people are doing. Like in my latest track, I do use a bunch of different electronic type drums, and that's just me sort of exploring the sounds, and like I try and do. I feel that you don't have to separate these worlds. There's room for everybody. So I like the idea of having my turntables and you know drum loops and sound effects going alongside more acoustic guitars and electric guitars and bass sounds. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, to me, it's just a big soup, and they go extremely well together, as long as you're using them in a musical way, of course. So the the mixing and matching of different tools and techniques is part of the joy of music. And I'm not a purist by any means. The guitar is just a tool, just the same as keyboard or turntable to me. At the end of the day, I just happen to get a lot of use and a lot of expression out of a guitar. And it's a tool. Like, I'm I guess I am a fan of the guitar because, man, they look really cool as well. Um, you know, and magazines, guitar magazines when I was growing up, and I had a lot of guitar heroes in my day, and I still do. So, I'm not just looking at the band and hearing the music. I'm looking at like what the guitar player is playing, and how they're rigged up and all that stuff. Whereas, your civilians out there are just like, oh, I don't care. I like this band. Who cares what the guy's playing? Like they don't glom onto that stuff. Me, I'm a guitar fan. I love the guitar itself. It's like I like cars too. I just like the aesthetic look of guitars. I think they're sexy and really rad looking, and they come in all these different colors and shapes and sizes. And I'm just a fan, like, no doubt. But you don't really see other industries glorifying their tools so much. Like, you don't see mechanics dancing around with their wrenches and stuff, unless you're in a Billy Joel Uptown Girl video or something like that. For those that remember that stuff. But a basketball player just plays a basketball. Like, no ball is different than another, right? Hockey sticks are just hockey sticks, right? Golf clubs get a little different, but guitar is something weird because it has because you know it's iconic in a way because of the imagery and the fashion associated with music and the uh, here's a $10 word, like the general zeitgeist of rock music. Like, there's nothing so iconic as Jimmy Page with his weird circle and moon and star pants with the Les Paul, or Ace Frehley with the Les Paul and his big shoulder pads. And Space Ace was just like, wow. And front and center, it was a Gibson Les Paul. And, like, man, that just burned it right into my head, right in the middle. That I've got to play guitar. I want one of those. Seeing Jimi Hendrix smash his guitar and light it on fire, and like that sort of pseudo religious talismanic ceremony that he had, with that instrument. It's like, how could you not think that's the coolest thing in the world? I mean, I was soaked in it right away. And then growing up as a young kid in the 80s, you get all these like really cool rad pointy guitars that look like Ferraris and like fast cars, like Lamborghini Countach was big back in the day. I had a poster of that in my notebook at school, and like just those really cool angular lines, and it was just so sleek and rad looking. And guitars kind of look like that too. So you had the advent of the pointy, super strat guitars, and I was like, wow, man, those things look so cool and so fast. It was just one of those things. Um, yeah, Bobby's mentioning visual appeal to guitars, drums. Yeah, like visual appeal is huge. I still I still love those 80s guitars, and the aesthetic that was really, just sort of, it was like, it wasn't punk. It was like they'd stripped off all the old crap that they didn't need off their Strats or Les Pauls, and just put in, like, one humbucker and like one volume knob. It was the whole Eddie Van Halen rat rotting thing that was really, you know kind of popular and prevalent, and still is today. Like, you couldn't. It was weird because that was one of the first new, big innovations and errors in guitar that I saw growing up in the 80s. Like in 84, I was how old was I in 84? I was 6. So, there was like, I was damn young, but I still remember, seeing these cool guitars and this weird look, and it wasn't like the 70s stuff where, like, there's lots of hair and big old honking guitars like Les Paul's, big heavy Norland era instruments. That was sort of blown out. Everything was neon and pink and green, and that was what I first saw as guitars and instruments coming up. I was like enraptured by that. But then '90s grunge came, and like you couldn't give those guitars away. The shred machines were dormant. They went into dormancy for a few years, and now they're back again. And you know there was no guitar heroes for a while. The grunge thing kind of killed, like, virtuoso guitars, even though they're all playing guitars. And you had, you know very the instrumental champions were there. They were few and far between, though, to be honest, during that era. The era of the heroes and the standout soloists kind of went away for some time. And that was an era that I kind of grew up, and I had guitar heroes and instrumental heroes in my day. um, Bobby's got a great comment here about watching Keith Emerson on the B3 organ. If you guys have never seen Keith Emerson, Lake and Palmer, like he would have the keyboard and he would rock these crazy solos, and he'd be like rocking the crap out of the organ, like it would almost look like it was gonna fall over sometimes. This giant thing that this dude was just playing so hard. Just watching Keith is amazing. Tony Banks is another guy from Genesis that I really love on keyboards. And if you've never seen, I was just watching this last week. Um, what's his name? Oh man, it's going to escape me. Edgar Winter with Frankenstein. Um, so that's Johnny Winter's brother. You see Edgar Winter, he's got this like giant keyboard kind of like hanging off of him, and he's playing like this, and he's rocking all the crazy solos in Frankenstein. Then he picks up drumsticks, and he does like a whole bunch of drum solo stuff. It's pretty amazing. Of course, you get guys like Prince that are playing guitar. Then he's playing piano. He can pick up the bass. You know, multi instrumentals, like people that are just masters and geniuses on stuff, and only they can make the sounds they can make. It's something that transcends the equipment. Bobby's mentioning he's a huge Genesis fan. Same here. I'm actually only recently gotten into Genesis. I'm absolutely enamored with the Trick of the Tail album, which is Phil Collins' first record with Genesis. That album is just amazing, back to back. And John's mentioning the best concert he ever saw was Prince. John, me too, man. I saw Prince back on, oh geez, what the heck was the name of that? We got an album. My brother and I went to go see it, and it was just an amazing show. Prince can literally do it all. I mean, he sings, plays, dances his butt off. Just a total package. I really like artists that can do that sort of thing. That are the be all and end all. There's been others in the past. Like names that come to mind. Like in terms of popular discussion, Mike, you go to Michael Jackson, James Brown, band leader types, Elvis Presley, but there's only one Prince, right? A lot of those guys were great band leaders and frontmen and showmen and performers, but Prince is sort of like the total package. He plays all his own stuff. Um, Stevie Wonder's up there too. Stevie Wonder is just another great genius. John's mentioned in the comments too, and I have to agree that it was. He said it was his biggest diverse audience in terms of race and age that he saw at the Prince concert. And yeah, man, I agree, and that's such a beautiful thing to see. Prince's music is universal, appeals to everybody. I would hope so anyway, because man, it's just the amount of talent and energy that goes into his stuff is so great. Do I love all his music? Not all of it. Some of the albums he put out, during his own era, were a little hard on the ears for me personally. A little bit, and when I say that, I mean they were just a bit, little too indulgent sounding. Um, like I don't like some of the rap stuff that he had in his records during those eras, and that's might be a little controversial to say, but yeah, uh, you know, um, uh, everyone doesn't, not everyone's perfect, right? And just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not likable. Um, but yeah, you really had these strong icons, these multi-talented individuals. Freddie Mercury is another one that comes to mind, who's a great piano player, singer, performer. That was just songwriter, like just talent on many, many levels. Nowadays that still exists. I'm doing my own dance school music thing, so I got to be guitar player, bass player, producer, engineer. You try and do all these things, put on all these caps to get your stuff out there so that people can hear it. But the convenience of it now is, I can just do it all from my computer and in my little laboratory here. I don't necessarily need a huge team of people or industry. So think of how much harder it would be to get yourself out there and put your put your music and your talent out there. So you could argue that it's a law of diminishing returns now that it's so much easier, so much more crap gets out there, and that might be the case. I don't think it's any different than it's ever been. Like I was saying earlier, once once you have a spread of music, whether it's available on record, CD, internet, beam through the radio, you got this buffet of stuff around you, and you just pick what you like, take and discard the rest. I think the society and culture and musicians are still going to be putting out the same amount of stuff that is out there. There's always new stuff to discover. I'm finding, and I love discovering music. People will argue against Spotify and things like that, but I think it's great for just checking out any and all kinds of music. Um, I had stuff recommended to me, and I could just look it up on there, and if I like it, I go and I buy it. One band that my brother turned me on to was a band called the Vintage Caravan, uh, three piece from Iceland, playing some crazy heavy, really cool riffy rock stuff that um, you know you just gotta love. Yeah, John's got a note here about how Keith Emerson sang, played guitar and piano. Yeah, Keith Emerson, another amazing. Yeah, we talked about Keith already. So who's next? Like who's out there? That's doing something similar. And you hear Lady Gaga come up in a lot of discussions because she's extremely talented and multi-talented. Plays and sings and dances as well, and a great performer. And Bruno Mars is out there too. Doing stuff. Playing his own instruments, singing, dancing, and bringing back a lot of like those old school values that we sort of in music. Real instruments played by real people, um, which is cool. You get more soul in it. You can always hum or sing a melody. Based on that kind of music. I don't know if I hear that or feel that in certain types of electronic music or K-pop or things like that that I just not that I don't cotton to. But that's just me. I think that stuff is fine and serves a different purpose. And I'm not a hater. I just like what I like. I'm not judging anybody that is really into those styles of music, and I do like certain parts of it. One thing, I always grew up thinking like, ah, man, I don't like the sound of country music. I don't like it. And then I hit a certain age and I started listening to certain kinds of country music, and boy, I'll never go back. I love country now, but not all of it. You know, Bobby's asking who will be the next music hero in this generation. We'll see. hopefully it's someone that's got a guitar or a bass or something in their hands. Like those types of talents are pretty rare. Like, you only, once a generation, or, maybe you'll get a couple, times where you have someone like Sting walking the earth, like just monster musicians that are, capable of global takeovers. Um, you know, the hopefully that next Sting or that next Prince is out there. And in the meantime, there's a bunch of wannabes and thugs like myself out there that are doing our thing, and there's the rest of us that are enjoying playing music, and maybe not in it for the stardom or the fame, just doing it for the love and the enjoyment, and to get it out there. you know that's that's a big part of it for me. I growing up playing music, I always thought, like, man, I hope one day I could make it, and make a living at music. And I just realized at a young age that, like, it wasn't for me. The path and the decisions that had to be taken to go there were not something that were not steps that I was willing to take. So, that being said, I still always played and treated it very seriously. But did I ever go to the pro level, or did I ever want to go to the pro level? No. The answer is no. So it took a lot of pressure off me in terms of how, what am I in it for, and why do I want to play music? And it's really just for kicks, and I hope other people get a laugh or a joke out of some of the stuff that I put out there. But yeah, going back to the topic at hand, guitar for me is not a trend. It's just my tool. It's just the instrument where I feel most comfortable. I've got my biggest voice, most capable voice on it. Then, and yeah, the market is saturated. There's a million guitar players, but when you look at people who can actually play guitar, you know, um, there's a lot more that can't. So, do those people like guitar music? Not always, right? So I'm playing for myself and maybe a few other guitar players. And, I love it when family and friends enjoy my stuff, but really, it's all about, seeing if other people enjoy a little bit of what I do. And that's where I get a kick out of it, but it's not the main reason. I think, uh, not worrying about trends and what's popular helps me stay more focused on my own stuff and get a better sense of my own kind of voice. Like the last track that I put out, I really went to the limit in terms of making sure it was exactly what I wanted. And then when I put it out and I heard it, I was like, okay, this is satisfying to me. This is good. Who cares what happens, if anyone listens to it or not? And I feel good about it that way. I'm not worried about following a trend or being popular. I'm not worried about catching any likes or any sort of algorithm. Couple comments here. In terms of who's the next big star. John's suggesting John Mayer might be the most recent. That's a really good pick. He's a guy that can sing and play. Get some help writing his songs, but probably puts a lot of his own input in there, and he's a very, very, very talented guitar player. Bobby's asking if there'll be another Led Zepp. I don't think so. There'll be another something else. I think there'll be a band that is as musically dynamic and incredible as Led Zeppelin, but they won't sound anything like Led Zeppelin. Um, and Bobby's mentioning that he too plays for the enjoyment. At the end of the day, like, it's playing is supposed to make you feel good, and I can't remember what YouTuber said it, but it's like when you're playing guitar, you're not feeling any pain, or when you're playing your instrument, hopefully you're not feeling any pain. Like, you're focused, you're in the moment, you're doing your thing and enjoying it, and it's. I think that's, good for the soul. It's like, going for a jog or playing with your dog, or playing with a kid, or just doing something that really occupies your brain and puts you in that zone where you're just, joyful and peaceful, and just, having fun, being present. um, that's very, very therapeutic, I think. And even if you're just noodling, it you've got your instrument with you, like that represents a moment in time where you can be at peace, right? So I think, yeah, guitar, obviously, maybe, even if I don't think it's a trend or anything like that, I do think it's, for me, it's a tool that I use in a sort of talismanic religious way. Like when I have my guitar in my hands, my brain immediately goes, switches modes, and I can relax a little bit and be myself, a little more. So that's a great gift. You can't, with instruments, musical instruments, you can't outgive them. You can't put too much into them. There's no outplaying the guitar. It will always beat you, or the drums, or the bass, or the piano. Whatever it is you're into. And let's say you don't play an instrument. It could be something like art. It could be like painting, or doing, pottery and that kind of thing. Could be sewing, could be knitting, could be cooking, for Pete's sake. I think that's a way to express, love and peace, and putting it out there in the world. It's just good vibes that you want to get out there. So no matter how you express yourself, there's different levels to it. And I choose to play guitar and play music because that's my happy spot. That's where I get to do me, this guy. So so we're getting, right up near the end of this, live stream, guys. Sorry, it's gone, a bunch of different directions there, but yeah, main topic being, is the guitar immune to trends? Loved seeing what you guys have talked about here in the chat so far, and it's, my thoughts being that, it's something that exists outside of trends, but it can also be a trendsetter, depending on the imagery and what's going on at the time. We've seen the guitar really be the tool of choice for a lot of big trendsetters, like guys we've talked about, musicians we've talked about, both male and female, that are, you know, basically responsible for putting instruments in the hands of young kids and the next generation. And nothing's really changed as far as the appetite and the appeal of the guitar. It's still hard to play. Most people will quit after, under a year, 3 months. That's just the way it is. It's not any easier to play. Bobby's out to go shovel snow. Cheers, Bobby. Take it easy, buddy. Thanks for joining the live stream today, man. um, but yeah, it's guitar is still hard to play. It's not any easier. But if you get 100 people playing guitar, and 10 of them make it, you get 1,000 people playing guitar, and maybe 100 make it. A lot of them, those probabilities don't really change. So it's still hard to play, but it's still very, very rewarding. And it is the most portable, compact songwriting, screaming, bending, melodic, harmonic, rhythmic instrument you can get. You know, Electrics, acoustics, I'll take them all. I don't care. I just love guitars and playing them. And I want to thank, everyone here for watching today's live stream. I'll be doing another one in the next few weeks, hopefully with a guest, to be announced. And thanks, everybody, Bobby, John, and whoever else has been watching the live stream. Enjoy the snow out there. Hopefully, it's not too bad and heavy. If you're a snow person, you know this is a good day for you. So, take care, everybody. This has been, Densko Music. Again, if you want to support my channel, you're doing it already by watching, but give me a like or subscribe, or you can purchase my music from iTunes or on, Bandcamp there. And that way I get the money, not the evil YouTubers or record companies or whoever else. Anyway, whoever else, I don't know. Take care, everybody. Have a great Sunday. And this is Densko signing off.